So there's a lot of things that brought me back to that era. But having Matt say to me, listen, just forget everything that you learned, be the dude back then. And it's kind of like you are the root, but a lot of bands get covered up with all this shit on top of it. You just got to figure out how to get rid of that and just strip back to who you really are. And I think with Divided We Fall, we did it.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at GhostCultMag.com. Good morning to you, Billy Bio. We're here to talk about the new Biohazard record, the comeback of the classic lineup. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, man, always. It's always a pleasure. I feel like we've been on this journey together. You hit me up that this was happening, and we were, hopefully as supportive as positive, as possible of all your other projects leading back to this, and hopefully there will be more in the future. The only record this year that I pre-ordered the day it went live was this record, Divided We Fall. I did not records get sent to me. I'm appreciative. I'm grateful. I've been doing this a long time. But I was like, nope, I'm buying this one. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's fucking go. This has been so good. I can't wait for
go.
Yeah, let's fucking go. I can't wait for everybody to hear this record, man.
Yeah, me too. It's been a while in the making.
For real. And yeah, man. So much to unpack, but here's a place I wanted to start as a band kind of coming back together. And a new label, a lot of new things pushing forward. I love that you guys work with Matt Hyde. I don't recall if you worked with him before, but no. knowing that you guys have all made other records, you're a well-known and respected producer. Was it important for you to kind of turn the keys over to someone else so you don't have to handle that? What was that like for you and the rest of the guys? And you know how to make a Biohazard record, and you know what Biohazard sound is supposed to sound like. So Matt, who's a legend, right, and is Slayer, like that's all you got to say for Matt Hyde. But his resume is miles long. What was it like for you to kind of like cede that responsibility to him?
Working with Matt Hyde, it was not just an honor; it was great. He sat down with him. You always talk about the records that you like that he did. But the common thing I saw was that he helped bring the band back to certain moments where they were where they made records that resonated more with their audience. And I love that about him. Obviously, being what he did with Biohazard was he said to me, listen, I love Power Flow. Matt Hyde actually did the first demos of Cypress Hill. He told me he recorded the first demos, which was weird because I thought Muggs was the guy. But and he said, I love what you do with Power Flow. I love what you do with Billy Bio. And it's great. I would love to work with you as a solo artist, but we're doing Biohazard and I don't need you. I don't want you to be Billy Biohazard in 2023. I need you to take yourself back to 1993 when you guys made music that fucking resonated. That was the era of Biohazard. And it was an awesome time for us. But I looked at him, I'm like, but why? I became so much better. I grew a lot as a songwriter, as a singer, as a player. And he said, yeah, but you learn so much stuff. And for me as an artist, I always tried to write, you kind of like outdo what you did yesterday. That's my goal in life. I always want to be a better version of myself, better songwriter, better singer, better lyricist, all these things. And he's kind of looked at me and he said, yeah, that's cool. And that's what I like what you do now. But we're trying to make a fucking classic Biohazard record. And we're still writing. He goes, that's what you guys did best then. He goes, that's your roots. That's what you're all about. Just go back to that. And I threw away Keefy, my vocal warm-ups, my guitar warm-ups. Everything that I learned since then that to make me a better version of myself, I think I got rid of. I stopped worrying about it. I didn't let that bother me. And I just went in, sang cold, walked off the street, sang in a fucking small little, looked like a closet like we did back in, even Urban Discipline. We recorded Warren Tears. It was Lower East Side in his basement, and his vocal booth was in the corner. Same thing with Matt. So there's a lot of things that brought me back to that era. But having Matt say to me, listen, just forget everything that you learned, be the dude back then. And it's kind of like you are the root. But a lot of bands get covered up with all this shit on top of it. You just got to figure out how to get rid of that and just strip back to who you really are. And I think with Divided We Fall, we did it.
That's amazing. Thank you for unpacking all that. And yeah, like I said, Matt, I knew Matt was going. When I saw Matt's name, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be epic. And congratulations. I've been very impressed so far with Black to Black. I think most people don't recognize that it's a new label, but run by experienced people. It's a sub label of Frontiers SRL. It's a label we do a lot of work with: progressive rock, heavy metal, some huge names, some small names. But between Biohazard and Megadeth, no, no small feat to be putting out two, huge albums by two of the biggest bands ever in metal. So not too bad, not too shabby. And what's that like? I tell people all the time, like, changing record labels, it's like the same thing as going to a new job. The only way you really ever get a raise in the music industry is to get a new job, and that's going to a new label mostly. So, what has that experience been like for the band?
I think Black to Black is similar to Roadrunner Records. They back then when we did a couple records on Roadrunner, the record label had people who were more interested in that fact that they got free tickets to the concert on Friday night with the band that's on the label than they were about making money. So their heart was in it, and that was an awesome experience. Met a lot of great people along the way, different labels. Black to Black has that similar energy, so that was important to us. It's great to be working with people that kind of feel what you do and on the same page.
It's very rare, actually, from bands that I talk to. That feel like aliens sometimes, and that like we beam down to Earth to do our record, and then nobody they don't get it. So like, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah,
lucky. And then again, obviously, like, we've talked a bit before about this coming, and I've seen you guys live a bunch of times now since you've been back. I totally feel that old school vibe, the old school Biohazard vibe. Not that, again, I love things like Means to an End and Uncivilization just had an anniversary, and I love those records, and they're brutal and killer, and there's a lot of good songwriting there and performances. But like, this does feel like, with Evan coming back, was it like, old hat for you guys to just kind of, get back in a room and write together and bring in songs? How was that?
I think the important element of Divided We Fall, besides the fact Matt kind of helped bring us back to the 90s, just with our focus and help strip away some of the things that we learned over the years. Being on tour with the guys and playing all those classic Biohazard songs, Shades of Grey, Urban Discipline, Punishment, every night on tour for a couple of years, that live energy in that era of the band was flowing through our veins. So everything just seemed to come together at once, and that brought out some great moments. One of our proudest records. And it's great to be able to look at records like Urban Discipline or State of the Weather Dress and Divided We Fall. It feels like it fits right there. I love Mata Leal. I love everything that we've created and released. But there's certain records that seemed that we were on the top of our game, that we were all in the same spot, making, this great collection of songs and pulling it together to make a record that stands out. In Divided We Fall, we nailed it.
Right on. I love Mata Leal. I think it just hit 30, right? Like, it's wild to think about these things. I went to Bleecker Bob's to buy that record, and like, when I worked in the West Village and Bagels on the Square, Farther Demo Square and Carmine Street. And like, I went after work to get that record, and I was so excited to bring it home and ride the train up to the Boogie Down, man, and go get it. And we're here now talking about a new Biohazard record, 37 years after you started a band, 38 years since you were kids. It's just, my head explodes thinking about it.
Yeah, when you put numbers down like that, bro, it feels like it's gone so fast. It feels like we just put the band together, a couple weeks ago. That's what it feels like. I think the minute that it becomes old and dragged out and boring, that's when you throw the towel in.
Right on. That's words to live by, man. You look like a kid out there, man. You are jumping into the crowd still, and I know you're, such a warrior when it comes to your routines for martial arts and just fitness and health. And both you and Evan, you guys look like you're carved out of granite, man. It's like, I'm so jealous. We're almost the same age. I'm trying to get my fitness and health together, but it's a battle. It's a slow process. Even though my body remembers how to, I'm trying to like get those positive, daily, consistencies going. It's hard for me, but you guys look amazing.
Thank you, dude. I don't take compliments well. That's weird. That's cool.
Yeah, I know.
I appreciate
I'm
it.
just like also a lot of dudes are breaking down. We've lost a lot of people. I just watched the Ozzy documentary. It depressed me. I had to lay down for a while after watching it. I was like, oh man, I can't. It's so sad to see him frail. So I'm just wrestling with my own existential shit every day. Sorry.
Yeah, everything, Keefy, that everything, from the day we were born, we're slowly dying, and you're growing. Instead of saying growing old, you just look at it like it's a number of experiences. Like, yeah, how long have you been on the job? 15 years? Oh yeah, I've been here for fucking 30, dude. I know this shit backwards and forwards. We just played Furnace Fest, and it was awesome. Seeing these haywire, seeing these so many great bands play, and it's fucking killer. And but what I noticed, there's more energy on stage with Biohazard than a lot of bands and most bands in their 20s. So it shows that the OG guys love what they do. It's not that we're not doing it for a paycheck. We're doing it because we love to do it. We all have other things going on in our lives, and it's great to be able to play with bands that you love and look up to and appreciate. And there's always a new band that I'm like, holy shit, great new band. Furnace Fest, I saw so many great bands that I was like, wow, these guys are fucking killer. Never heard of them. So great festival, great time. Yeah, there you go.
Right on. There's a new wave of like younger hardcore bands inspired by the bands we were inspired by, and your band, of course, too. So like it's super cool. Shout out to Furnace Fest. They do a great job. I heard they're coming back for next year, so that's really exciting. I'm glad they're keeping it going after they had the early days hiatus back. Like that's the vibe for 25, man. We're still alive and kicking. That's the main thing. But Divided We Fall, man. It's very, like I said, just very old school Biohazard record, and very much of like the moment. There's always going to be dissent, and there's always going to be unrest, and it is a plea for unity overall. Like, okay, there's you and there's me, and sometimes we can't get along and agree, but we got to find a way forward. And I think that's the strength of hardcore, and that's always the positive vibe that I always took the brotherhood angle from hardcore that I liked much more than metal, even as a kid. As much as a metalhead as I always was, all the metal guys were like, and like the hardcore was always trying, at least on paper, in theory, to be a family, in most cases, especially past a certain point. But there's a lot of positive but powerful messages on this record that I think people need to hear today.
I agree, dude. Divided We Fall. This obviously it's poignant for today's time, but that record could have been called Divided We Fall back in the 90s. There's also a twist on the band. Individually, we all do what we do, but collectively as a band, we're Biohazard. The stuff that I write when I'm not with the guys is Billy Bio, or it's, with Christian and Sendog, it's Power Flow. So I love doing this, getting this opportunity to make a new record with Biohazard. Keith, if you would have said, and we've talked several times, but if you would have said to me like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, yeah, you're going to eventually one day you're going to put the band back together. And I'm sure in our talkings, I said, yeah, not going to happen. Maybe it will happen. I don't know. Never say no. I've gone through so many different thoughts about us getting back together over the years, but I never in the world would have thought that we would have made a record that stands up to the classic Biohazard records. And here we are talking about it. So that's such a great thing. It's an honor for me to be able to have that experience, not just once, twice, 3 or 4 times, but here we are with another record. I don't even know how many records we have. It shows it's a number. It's like a stripe on your black belt. It's kind of like, it's not my focus. Like the business part of it, it's not, I pay attention to everything, but I don't walk around, crunching numbers in my head. I don't walk around, thinking, oh yeah, okay, there's capacity is this, there's how many people here, how much merch do we sell? That shit is clogging, it's draining, and it's noise. And that kind of clouds up your focus and what really is the essence of what you do. I love going on stage, and all that shit, everything that's going on in my life, all the outside noise kind of disappears. And I'm in the moment. I live that moment like it's the last thing I'm going to do on earth for an hour, or for an hour and 15 or 45 minutes, whatever, however long we're on stage for. And sometimes because of that, it's almost like it's so special and and precious to me that I get really fucking frustrated and stressed out when it's not right. It's like prepare the fucking dojo, move the furniture, put the mats down, and I'm ready to fucking fight. But if you throw oil on the mat, you fuck up that vibe and you fuck up that experience for me. So I guess it's just a realization just now that I realize why when things go wrong before we get on stage, why it freaks me out so much. Anyways.
Oh, good call. We all moments of clarity come when you least expect it. I often say, like, even Metallica are to a level now as an organization, like when they don't, it's not their thing, it's not their tour, it's not their gear, it's not their environment. They struggle. But when it's their bubble, they rule because they can control every element. And life is usually not that simple, especially in the music industry, right? I'm reminded of something that Flea said back in the 90s when he talked about being a teenager and coming into Fear as a bassist and like before he had the Chili's. And he was like, the thing I loved about punk rock that attracted me to it is that every note mattered, every second mattered, every show mattered, every fan mattered. And we knew that. And unlike like 70s rock and stuff that was a little too self-important, he was like, I never wanted to be so self-important that I lost that punk rock vibe. And I feel like you guys are essentially carrying that forward in your music the same way.
Yeah, we when you start something and there's first show is 4 people and those 4 people are your 4 girlfriends and they're there because they have to be, not because they want to be. And then it turns into 8 people and then 16 and then and so forth and so forth. And it exponentially grew and got crazy and crazier. But knowing that those first 4 people and then those next 4 people and then the next 8 people and shaking their hands and meeting them. We were in Indianapolis the other night and we had a friend that his name was Wayne Brain. And he was at our first show in Lower East Side in Manhattan back in the 1990 or maybe 1988, 89. I can't remember. And he had followed us for a long time. And then went on and did his own thing, but came to the show and it was like, bam, right away. I'm like, dude, Wayne Brand, I haven't seen you in so many years. So I remember people it's in clearly and the experiences. I think it's all about that relationship. And for me, I've met some people who I looked up to as artists and that I didn't enjoy meeting. And they say you should never meet your idols. So what I did was stop looking at people as idols because then if they disappointed me, it didn't ruin my experience with the music. But getting to meet a lot of people, it's important that when you walk away, you enjoyed meeting Billy from Biohazard. And that's always been important to me, maybe to a fault. But maybe I'm more concerned with how many people show up at my funeral than anything else.
I hear you, man. You guys had girlfriends? Holy shit. I had a band for 20 years. I only had one girlfriend. Then I was at the end. Like, oh my God, you had girlfriends. You were doing it right. I wasn't.
Yeah, but they the only one who stuck around was Danny's girl, Jess.
Oh.
The rest have,
right. Yeah, as you do. But yeah, man, I can't say enough good things. This record is so killer. And I think it's kind of the music we need right now. I know there's a lot of discourse about politics in the world, but I think at the end of the day, it comes down to people. And I think we are our own worst enemies. And, this has been a topic of heavy music since the beginning, since the bell tolled on Black Sabbath. We've been killing ourselves and we have a job to do that is not killing ourselves and trying to find a way forward. So I love that this record is like, hey, shit sucks, but instead of a complaint list, here's a list of things you can do to be strong and build walls, break down walls and build up bridges instead. Like it seems obvious, but not to everybody.
Yep. Amen, dude.
Yeah.
I always look at things, and this has helped me a lot. I don't look at things as problems. I look at them as a challenge. And when you have that challenge, it's easier to face a challenge than to find a solution to a problem. So it's just a mindset. And that's helped me a lot.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. As we wind this down, I want to give you back the rest of your day. So much to cover, but I'm always super excited to see you guys touring. And I know that the stuff is booked in infamy probably at this point, forever at this point. So, keep it going, keep it moving, and we'll catch you somewhere on the road soon. I'm super excited about Divided We Fall coming out October 17th on Black to Black. Billy Bio. Great to see you again, man. Thank you so much for making the time. I feel like this is a nice bookend to you texting me and telling me about the reunion, and let's do a quick interview from the car. And I was really appreciative of that heads up. And I'm just really proud of all you guys have done to come back together and do this for yourselves and for the fans. Thank you.
You too, Keefy. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man.
All right. Have a great day. See you soon. Peace.
You too, brother. Peace.